Buongiorno, St. Francis, and buongiorno, people of God. It is Thursday, the 17th day of November, 2022, Thursday of the 33rd week of the year, but more importantly today for the Franciscan calendar and also for the Universal Church calendar, it is the memorial of St. Elizabeth of Hungary. Great Franciscan woman, lay Franciscan woman, Queen of Hungary, and yet she did not let the trappings of royalty or anything else like that get in the way of her desire to serve the poor and the needy, even though her husband, the Duke of Thuringia, did not appreciate what she was doing. And so there is the great legend where she had bread to give to the poor, and her husband came after her, saying that she shouldn't be doing that. And when he opened her cloak to see the bread, it was roses. And so, again, the miracles that God does to make sure that people can do what it is that they need to do so that they can fulfill their ministry of charity and love to one another. So no perfect place then to celebrate a Franciscan saint than to be in Assisi itself. And so today, looking at the Chiesa Nuova, which is the church, it means new church, but it's a church that's built over the home of St. Francis, as legend hath said. So probably people do say perhaps this was the home, this was the factory or the store that Pietro Bernardone sold his cloth from. And so within here is some of the wall of the original building, they say, as well as a little prison that Francis was kept in because he was disobeying Pietro by giving away clothing and things like that to the poor, to the needy, and not wanting to become a merchant like his father was. So if we go down this way, let's see, if we go down to this side over here, there is what marks the entrance to the store itself, or the shop itself. So there's a great pizzeria over here, but then over here on this side, they've closed the. It's not open for business yet, but that here is that this would have been the storefront, supposedly. So it went to the side of the house itself. So the Chiesa Nuova is built upon this site. The one thing that is interesting that was added, probably a decade ago, or maybe even a little bit more than that, is finally a recognition of the fact that Francis had parents, which again, it's always very murky. Not that he didn't have parents, but it's very murky about what happened to them, and the fact that he, as a man of peace, never seems to have reconciled with them. And so what was done is the construction of these two statues of Pietro and Pica Bernardone, and so Francis's mother and father. And there you see that Pica has the chains that Pietro used to try to imprison Francis with, but that she took them off Francis, supposedly according to one of the legends, allowed him to go free to be able to do what he was called by God to do, to fulfill his own destiny. So just a little bit about what's happening around over here. So it's a beautiful piazza. It's a little bit warmer today. It's not as cold and it's not as foggy, at least down here in the city. So today's readings on the memorial of St. Elizabeth of Hungary. Revelation continues. This is, we go now into the episode where John sees a great scroll with 7 seals that has 7 messages for the 7 churches, that were major churches that this letter to Revelation is written for. And who will open them? Well, nobody seems to be able to until a lamb that was slain appears, and the lamb that was slain is Christ. And then there is all glory and honor given to this lamb that could open the seals and then create transformed understanding of our life as human beings, a transformed understanding of what it means to be people who are given the earth as an inheritance and who are given this wonderful creation as something to make a world out of, where everyone has a place, where everyone matters, where everyone is given a destiny of hope and of healing. So again, Revelation continues with that. In the Gospel today, we have Luke's prediction of the destruction of Jerusalem, in which Jesus weeps over Jerusalem, saying that it basically will be leveled soon, and again in 70 AD, and again in 120 AD, in the Common Era. Jerusalem is destroyed twice by the Romans. Jesus's whole point of this, though, is that the destruction, he says, would have been saved if the people had been more attentive to what was appearing, what was being realized in their midst. Now, that's not to say that basically if they had believed in Jesus, there would have been no destruction by the Romans. But what that destruction led to, and the heartbreak and the sorrow that destruction led to, again, may not have been as severe in the lives of Israel as if they had attended to the voice of the Lord and the voice of God speaking in their midst. Again, it's a very interesting sort of perspective, which again, all of Judaism would not necessarily hold, in one way. But the idea is the sense in which how does God offer refuge from the crises in our lives? How does God offer us a way of navigating through them and of trying to understand them and why they are happening? Not necessarily to eliminate them, but allow us to be able to be people who can see through them to a new tomorrow and to a new hope and to a light that always shines. It is very important, for all of us who are believers to maintain and to understand. Our God is not some kind of miracle worker that takes away all of the bad and the evil and whatever it is, but God allows us to face it down and allow it to have no power over us, which is a defeat of evil and of darkness in a much more profound and much more fantastic and glorious way. And may the Lord give you his peace.